Hello and welcome. I'm your host from Empower Yourself Studio. And hey, Empower Yourself family, welcome back. Today we're stepping into, well, a world that's often magnetic, sometimes pretty controversial, and almost always misunderstood. The world of the truly wealthy. You know, for too long, the stories we get fed, movies, tabloids, social media, about how rich people get rich and how they live, they're often just completely misleading. And the real problem here isn't just like idle curiosity. These stories, these narratives, they create these deeply ingrained myths that can actually hold you back from achieving your own financial independence. I mean, if you genuinely believe wealth is only for the lucky or the ruthless or people born with a silver spoon, well, why would you even try, right? You got to cut off your own ambition before you even start.
That mental block is exactly what we need to tackle today. That's really our mission here. We want to look at the evidence, from some of the most respected research in foundational thinking and finance and even behavioral science. We need to basically dismantle those limiting beliefs and help reprogram your financial mindset so it aligns with, well, reality, not Hollywood fantasies.
Yeah, exactly. We are going straight to the sources. We're pulling insights from Stanley and Danko's big study in The Millionaire Next Door, the clarity you get from Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money, Napoleon Hill's ideas on value, even Adam Smith's foundational economics. This isn't about guesswork. It's about understanding what successful people actually do. So let's start with maybe the biggest one, the belief that stops most people cold. The birth lottery idea. Okay, so myth number one. This one's insidious. Rich people inherited all their money or just got incredibly lucky. It feels kind of comforting, doesn't it? Because it means your own effort isn't really the main thing.
It absolutely is comforting, like you said, but it's also maybe the ultimate ambition killer. The facts, though, they paint a really different picture. Stanley and Danko, who wrote The Millionaire Next Door, they spent years researching this. And what they found was that the vast majority, we're talking around 80% of millionaires, are actually first-generation rich.
80%? Wow.
Yeah, 80%. They built it themselves. Discipline, saving, making smart choices over time. Inheritance wasn't the main driver for most of them.
So that image we have, the flashy trust fund kid, that's really not representative of where most established wealth comes from in the U.S.
Not at all. That's why Stanley and Danko made this really sharp distinction. They talked about people who look rich versus people who are rich. They came up with these great terms: prodigious accumulators of wealth paws. Those are the ones diligently building net worth. And then under accumulators of wealth, UAWs.
UAWs, okay.
Yeah, the UAWs are often the high earners who spend pretty much everything they make trying to look the part, The expensive cars, the huge houses. But often, there's not much actual wealth behind it.
That's fascinating. The people trying hardest to look rich might actually be the ones struggling financially.
Yeah.
How does that pressure, that need to keep up appearances, affect their chances long term?
Oh, it's crippling. It traps them. They essentially become high-income servants to their own lifestyle, which actually leads us perfectly into the next big assumption, that you absolutely need a super high-paying job, like a doctor or lawyer or maybe a fancy degree, an MBA from a top school, to even get on the path to wealth.
Right, and that's a huge trap. It makes people feel like only those prestigious career paths are viable. You end up chasing a title, maybe, instead of building real value.
Exactly. Robert Kiyosaki talks about this a lot in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He challenges that whole way of thinking. He argues the problem isn't really the job title or even the salary itself. It's getting stuck in what he calls the rat race. Even high earners, if they're just trading time for money, often end up piling on bad debt just to support that expected high-status lifestyle. They're basically on a very expensive treadmill. The real focus for wealth creation, like we see with those paws, isn't just high income. It's about acquiring high assets.
Assets, meaning?
Things that generate income whether you're actively working or not. So maybe entrepreneurial ventures, rental properties, strategic investments. It's the ability to spot and build systems around opportunities that often matters more than just a big paycheck. You can really build significant wealth from almost anywhere if your focus shifts to building those income-producing assets.
Okay, so if most millionaires didn't inherit it, and they aren't all Wall Street titans, let's talk about what they do with the money they make. Myth number two. Rich people are these extravagant spenders living lavish lifestyles. The yachts, the jets, constant luxury.
And here we go again. The reality is just starkly different from that media stereotype. If you go back to Stanley and Danko's work,
The Millionaire Next Door guys.
Yep. They found most true millionaires are surprisingly intensely frugal. They live well below their means. Seriously, we're talking about people who often drive used cars, wear perfectly nice but, moderately priced clothes, and live in modest homes in regular neighborhoods.
So their main goal isn't impressing the neighbors or making people envious.
Not at all. Their priority is achieving and, importantly, maintaining financial independence. True wealth, as they say, is often invisible. The wealthiest person in the room might actually be the one you'd least expect based on appearances.
The one in the least expensive suit, maybe.
Could be. They'd rather invest their money than spend it on stuff that loses value quickly, liabilities. Getting that core mindset right, valuing financial security over status symbols, that seems to be the sort of hidden key.
That makes a lot of sense. So if they're not spending it all on flashy liabilities, are they just better gamblers?
This brings us to myth 5. The idea that you have to take these huge, almost crazy risks to get rich quick, like betting everything on one volatile stock or a moonshot startup. The allure of the quick win. Morgan Housel really tackles this beautifully in The Psychology of Money. He argues that true, lasting wealth accumulation is, well, it's actually kind of slow, maybe even boring. It's driven by consistency and the incredible power of time.
Compounding.
Exactly, compounding. Housel really emphasizes that the most important thing isn't taking massive risks. It's survival. You have to avoid those catastrophic losses, the kind that knock you out of the game and stop compounding in its tracks. Compounding needs years, decades even, to really work its magic. So it's much more of a patient marathon than a frantic sprint.
Okay, so maybe hold off on betting the retirement fund on that hot new crypto coin.
If financial survival is the goal, yeah, probably best to avoid that. Consistency really beats intensity almost every time in this game.
Okay, this leads to a really important one, maybe a moral one. Myth 4. Rich people are only interested in money, and they're often greedy or ruthless to get it. This feeds that fear, right? That if you pursue wealth, you might lose your soul along the way. But, let's be real, we all know stories, or at least hear them, about ruthless executives or shady dealers who made fortunes. Does research like Napoleon Hill's and Think and Grow Rich just ignore those bad apples? Or does it only look at the positive examples?
That's a fair question. Hill's research, which was incredibly extensive, suggests that while, yes, bad actors absolutely exist just like in any field, great, lasting wealth tends to be generated differently. It's usually built by providing immense value, solving significant problems for a lot of people. His work really focuses on the common principles shared by those who achieved enduring success. For them, the motivation often isn't just greed. It's what Hill called a definite chief aim, combined with incredible persistence and often a genuine desire to serve or create something meaningful. Money becomes more like a measure of the value they've delivered.
So the idea isn't necessarily that all rich people are saints.
No, not at all. But focusing only on the negative stereotype, that generalization that wealth equals ruthlessness, well, that's just another limiting belief. It can unfortunately stop perfectly good, ethical people from even trying to build the resources they need.
Okay, let's bust some myths about what financial freedom actually feels like once you achieve it. Myth 6. Rich people never have any financial worries. Like once you hit a certain number, it's just perpetual bliss.
Yeah.
Smooth sailing forever.
If only. The authors of Your Money or Your Life really clarify this. They emphasize that the nature of the worries changes, definitely, but worries don't just vanish into thin air. Wealthy individuals might shift from worrying about making ends meet to worrying about, say, preserving their capital, managing complex tax situations, navigating market downturns, or planning for future generations.
So the problems get bigger, maybe.
Yeah.
Or just different.
Different, definitely. More complex, perhaps. Financial peace, according to Your Money or Your Life, really comes from achieving financial independence, that point where your spending aligns with your values and your assets cover your needs not just from having a massive net worth figure. Having significant assets actually brings a significant burden of responsibility for managing them wisely.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, myth 7. This one feels really charged right now. Rich people don't pay taxes, or they all find illegal ways to avoid them. There's this strong perception of unfairness out there.
Yeah, it's a hot topic. It's really crucial to understand the context, though, and this goes way back, even to Adam Smith's ideas in The Wealth of Nations. Basically, rational economic players tend to pursue their self-interest within the existing rules. The wealthy, generally speaking, are often just highly educated on how the tax system actually works.
But why does it feel so unfair sometimes?
Well, partly because the tax code itself is incredibly complex, and it's often designed to specifically incentivize certain economic behaviors, like investing or developing property. So wealthy individuals and their advisors employ legal tax strategies. We're talking about things like maximizing deductions for business expenses, using depreciation on investment properties correctly, structuring investments for lower capital gains tax rates instead of higher ordinary income rates.
These aren't loopholes in the illegal sense.
Not typically, no. These are mechanisms intentionally built into the tax code by lawmakers, often to encourage specific types of economic activity. Wealthy people are simply often more aware of them and more diligent about using them legally. It's smart financial planning. It's not usually illegal evasion.
That's the key distinction then. It's legal optimization, not widespread illegal cheating.
Yeah.
So the real lesson for us, for you listening, is maybe less about complaining and more about focusing on learning those legal tax-advantaged options available to everyone, like IRAs, 401ks, HSAs, maximizing deductions we're entitled to.
100%. It boils down to education and taking action on what you learn. Diligence.
Okay, let's hit myth 9. You need to be some kind of super genius, highly intelligent to get rich. This one's really discouraging for anyone who feels, like a normal person in a regular job.
Right, like you need a stratospheric IQ. Malcolm Gladwell's work in Outliers is really helpful here. He suggests that while, sure, a certain basic level of intelligence is needed to function effectively.
The threshold, maybe.
Exactly, a threshold. But beyond that point, factors like sustained effort, persistence, discipline, and critically, being in the right place to seize opportunities, those become far more important than just raw intellectual horsepower. Success often comes from the consistent application of knowledge. Think of Gladwell's famous 10,000-hour rule that's all about sustained commitment and practice, not just innate brilliance.
It's about showing up, doing the work consistently, optimizing your approach, things anyone can actually do. Okay, last one, myth 10. This is the one that fuels so many scams. Getting rich is about finding some secret formula or a hidden shortcut that only the elite know about.
The magic bullet myth. James Clear's thinking in Atomic Habits is super relevant here, even though it's about habits in general. There really is no hidden formula whispered in secret clubs. Wealth, like most significant achievements, is typically the result of the aggregation of marginal gains. It comes from small, consistent, daily financial habits stacked up over time.
Like what?
Like saving a portion of every paycheck automatically, investing that money wisely and regularly, continuously learning about finance, making informed spending choices. Little things done consistently.
So the real secret isn't finding the next Amazon stock before anyone else or some hidden real estate trick. It's more like setting up that automatic transfer to your retirement account every single month.
Okay.
That small, correct action is the actual path.
That's exactly it. Consistency and the power of compound interest, those are the real secrets. And they aren't secret at all. They just require patience and discipline. They're built over years and years. Any scheme promising massive, fast, easy riches without sustained effort, that's almost always a shortcut to losing your money, not making it. Wealth is built by making countless small, smart financial decisions day after day, year after year.
So really, shattering these 10 myths, understanding what's real and what's just noise, that's a genuine act of financial empowerment for you, our listener. It frees you from those limiting beliefs that might be keeping you stuck.
Absolutely. We've seen it consistently across all these different sources we've touched on, from Household Psychology Insights to Stanley and Denko's on-the-ground research. Wealth is overwhelmingly built through discipline, hard work, continuous learning, making strategic choices, and really focusing on providing measurable value to others. You absolutely do not need to come from a privileged background or have a genius IQ or get lucky with some secret trick to get started on this path.
What you really need, it seems, is an empowered mindset, a belief that it's possible for you, and then a commitment to learning and applying sound long-term financial principles. So here's a final thought for you to chew on. The true secrets to building lasting prosperity aren't really hidden away in some vault. They're simply consistent habits, often the boring, unglamorous ones, just waiting there for you to finally adopt them. Start making those small right choices for the wealthy person you want to become, starting today.